The atomic bomb.
And he scores on the last play of the game. Unbelievable.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Quincy Ball Sports, and today we're going to be making our Pac-12 picks. Now, the Pac-12 is a very interesting league. They have a lot of close, even teams. They usually beat up on each other a bunch, and that's usually why they don't make the playoff, because they haven't really been making the playoff. But I do think a Pac-12 team can make the playoff this year. I think it's definitely on the table. But I think we're going to start with our picks for the Pac-12 North. Finishing last in this division, we have the Oregon State Beavers. They really, since Brandon Cooks left, they really haven't had much in terms of a football program. They opened the season against Oklahoma State, the battle of the OSUs. I think that Oklahoma State wins that one, so that's 0-1. Hawaii, they play on the road, and I'm going to go on a limb and say that's a loss. Traveling all the way out to Hawaii, that's going to be a long distance, and Hawaii actually doesn't have a bad team, so I'm going to say 0-2. Cal Poly, that's a win, 1-2. Stanford, that's a loss, 1-3. UCLA, that's a loss, 1-4. Utah and Cal are losses, 1-6. Arizona is a loss, 1-7. Washington, make that 1-8. Arizona State, make that 1-9. Washington State is a loss, 1-10. And the Civil War, I think they lose to Oregon. So 1-11 for the Beavers. Not gonna have a very good year. Yeah, I bet you a lot of you didn't know that Brandon Cooks went to Oregon State, but since he left, they really haven't had much in terms of a football program. Next, we have Cal, the losers of the Cheez-It Bowl. That has to be the worst name for a bowl ever. Not the worst name for a bowl ever, but it definitely was the worst bowl. I mean, like 6 interceptions were in the game. I don't know. I can't remember. But Cal opens the season against UC Davis. I think that's a win. Next, they face Washington on the road. That's a loss. North Texas at home is a win. Ole Miss on the road, I think, is a win. Arizona State at home is a win. Oregon on the road is a loss. Oregon State at home is a win. Utah on the road is a loss. So far we're at 5-3. Washington State at home, I'm going to say it's a win. So 6-3. USC is a win, 7-3. Stanford is a loss, 7-4, and I think UCLA will be a loss, 7-5, and that ball's gone! Let's go! Anthony Rizzo with his second home run of the game. Cubs lead the Giants 3-2. I'm hype. But Cal, I think they'll go 7-5. All right, now we have the Stanford Cardinal, and this is where it gets kind of weird. I think every team in the Pac-12 has a chance to win the Pac-12, besides maybe Oregon State. All of these teams are legit and can actually win some pretty big games, I'm telling you. I'm not saying all of them are, like, legit playoff contenders. I'm just saying that, my bad, a lot of them can make a run at winning the Pac-12. But Stanford opens the season against Northwestern. That's a win. USC is a win, but I think UCF will be a loss. So we're sitting at 2-1 so far. Oregon at home is a loss, 2-2. Oregon State's a win, 3-2. Washington is a loss, 3-3. UCLA is a win, 4-3. Arizona should be a win, 5-3. Colorado will be a win, 6-3. I think Washington State will be a loss, 6-4. Cal will be a win, 7-4. And I actually think Notre Dame will be a win. I honestly think they can win that at home against Notre Dame. I have confidence in Stanford. So 8-4 is where I have them finishing. Now we have the Washington State Cougars. The flag, you will always see it game day. They've been on game day for like 300-some times in a row. I can't remember. But Washington State opens the season against New Mexico State. I think that's a win. They play North Colorado. That should definitely be a win. They play Houston on the road, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's a loss. So 2-1. I think Houston can get that win on the road. UCLA is a win, 3-1. Utah is a win, 4-1. Arizona State is a win, 5-1. Colorado will be a win, 6-1. Oregon is a loss, 6-2. I think Cal on the road will be a loss, 6-3. Stanford will be a win, 7-3. Oregon State will be a win, 8-3, and I think in the Apple Cup they lose to Washington, making the final record for Washington State 8-4. I feel like they have a very good chance to make a pretty big bowl game. Washington State's that team that does good at the end. Lately, they've been having pretty good seasons, but then they lose a big game at the end. But yeah, I think Washington State will have a good season. All right, now we have the Washington Huskies. Now, I think they're a very interesting team. They definitely can make a run of the Pac-12 championship. They won the Pac-12 last year, so who says they can't win it again this year, even though I don't think they will win it this year. And that ball is gone. Brandon Belt, solo home run, ties the game. My bad, that's Kevin Pillar. Come on, Cubs! Whatever, doesn't matter. But Washington opens the season against East Washington. I think that'll be a win. I think Cal will be a win. Hawaii will be a win. BYU is a win. USC is a win. Stanford on the road, I think, will also be a win. And Arizona will be a win. So that's 6-0. 7-0, my bad. So 7-0 going into Week 8 against Oregon. At home against Oregon. I think that is a loss. I really like Oregon this year, and I think if Washington's going to lose a game, it's going to be right there. So that's 7-1. Utah, that's 8-1. Oregon State, 9-1. Colorado, Washington State. So I say the Huskies go 11-1 this year, and I think they barely miss out on the Pac-12 championship to the Oregon Ducks. Now, my friends are all like, oh my god, Oregon's terrible. They're not going to do anything. I am very high on Oregon this year. I feel like they can make a run in the playoff. I think they are a serious playoff contender. Game 1 against Auburn. Now, in the SEC picks, when I did Auburn, I said that Oregon would win this game. I'm having some second thoughts. This is so even for me. And for the sake of Oregon not going 12-0 for me, I really don't know who's going to win this. It's going to be a nail-biter all the way down. But I feel like it's too close for me to pick. And since it's so close, I picked Oregon in my Auburn picks video. So I'm going to pick Auburn here. It's so close. It's really going to just come down to this game. I really don't know who's going to win. But we're just going to say Auburn here. We'll go with Oregon being 0-1. Nevada will make it 1-1. Montana 2-1. Stanford 3-1. Cal 4-1. Colorado 5-1. Washington on the road. It's going to be I think whoever wins this game wins the Pac-12. Whoever wins this Washington-Oregon game will win the Pac-12. Mark my words. And I think Oregon's going to win it. Washington State at home should be a win. USC on the road, I feel like they can get a win there. They can beat Arizona at home. They can beat Arizona State on the road. And they can definitely beat Oregon State. So I say Oregon goes 11-1 and wins this Pac-12 division. It's really going to come down to the game against Auburn and the game against Washington. I feel like if they can win one of those games, they're going to be in serious contention for the playoff. If they can win both, they're a lock for the playoff. Mark my words right there. If they can beat Auburn and Washington, they're a lock for the playoff. So that was the Pac-12 North Division. Now we go to the Pac-12 South. And let me tell you, I feel like Stanford, Washington, Oregon, and maybe Washington State are all teams that would win the Pac-12 South if they were in the South. The South is pretty weak. It's a lot weaker than the North, but let's go to the Pac-12 South. Finishing last of this division, we have UCLA. I'm not really too high on them this year. Quick, brief overview of the schedule. Cincinnati, I think, will be a loss on the road. I don't like them in that matchup. San Diego State is a win. Oklahoma is a loss. Washington State is a loss. Arizona is a loss. Oregon State is a win. So right now we're sitting at 2-4. Stanford is a loss, 2-5. Arizona State is a loss, 2-6. Colorado and Utah are losses, 2-8. And then USC is a loss, 2-9. But I think they're going to win against Cal. I don't know why, but I like them in that matchup. So 3-9 is my record for UCLA. Next in this division, we have Arizona, and I'm not really too high on them this year either. First game on the road against Hawaii, I think that's a loss. They have to travel all the way out there, and I don't really like them in there. Then they play North Arizona. That sounds like a community college. That'll be a win. Texas Tech, I think, will be a loss. UCLA will be a win. Colorado and Washington are losses. So that's 2-4. USC and Stanford are losses, so that's 2-6. Oregon State's a win, 3-6. Oregon is a loss. Utah is a loss, and I think Arizona State is a loss. So the same as UCLA, I have Arizona finishing 3-9. Finishing third to last, we have the once mighty USC, and I think, talk about falling off, they really haven't been their usual selves as of late. Start the season off against Fresno is a win. Stanford is a loss. BYU should be a win. Utah should be a loss. Washington's a loss. Notre Dame on the road is a loss. Colorado is a win. That's 3-4. Oregon's a loss, 3-5. Arizona State is a loss, 3-6. Cal is a loss, 3-7, and UCLA is a win. So 4-8. I have USC going. Again, not very good. I just don't see USC having that good of a year. Finishing third in the South Division, we have Colorado, and I don't understand how Colorado can be considered the South. That's a little odd to me. They opened the season against Colorado State. I think that's a win. Week 2 against Nebraska is a loss. Air Force is a win. Arizona State is a loss. Arizona is a win. Oregon is a loss. Washington State is a loss. USC is a win. UCLA is a win. Stanford is a loss. Washington is a loss, and Utah is a loss. So 5-7 for Colorado, although they can definitely make a bowl game. I feel like they can maybe beat Stanford and Washington at home, possibly. But I think 5-7 is fair. Finishing second in the Pac-12 South Division, we have Arizona State. Now, I feel like Arizona State has the potential to win a lot of games, maybe make a pretty high bowl game, but let's just see. They start the season off against Kent State. That's a win. Then they play, who is CSUS? Who is that? Who is CSUS? Sacramento State. Oh, wow, what a mighty opponent there. That's 2-0. Michigan State on the road will be a loss, 2-1. Colorado is a win, 3-1. Cal is a win, 4-1. Washington State is a loss, 4-2. Utah is a loss, 4-3. UCLA is a win, 5-3. USC is a win, 6-3. Oregon State is a win, 7-3. Oregon is a loss, 7-3. And then I think Arizona State goes 8-4. That's my final prediction for them. I think that's pretty much fair, and I think that's what they'll finish. And I have Utah winning the Pac-12 South for back-to-back years. Overview of their schedule. They start the season off in the Holy War. I think that's what it's called. Against BYU. I think that's a win. Northern Illinois is a win. The very dangerous Idaho State, I think, will be a win. USC is a win. Washington State is a loss. Oregon State is a win. Arizona State is a win. So that's 6-1. Cal, 7-1. Washington State, 7-2. UCLA, 8-2. Arizona, 9-2. And I think they end the season against Colorado going 10-2 for Utah. I think that's pretty fair. I think that's a best case for them, though. I don't see them going 11-1 or 12-0. But I think 10-2 is the best case for Utah, and I think that'll be pretty good for them. So at the end of the day, I have Oregon playing Utah in the Pac-12 championship, and I think this would be a pretty good game. I kind of like Utah, maybe as a sneaky upset pick, knock Oregon out of the playoff. But I think Oregon will wind up winning the Pac-12, in my opinion. I say they win it by a final score of 28-24. I think Oregon wins the Pac-12, and I think they're a sneaky pick to make the playoff. I'm not going to say that they make the playoff just yet. I might come out with another video with my playoff picks, but that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this. The Big 12 will be coming tomorrow, so you guys have that to look forward to. And I'll see you next guy. I'll see you next, guys. I'll see you next time, guys. Peace out. Words are hard.